Hello, hello, beautiful souls. So wonderful to connect with you on this fabulous Thursday. Welcome. I am Dr. Andrea Pennington, coming to you from the sunny south of France. If you've never been here before, welcome. And if you've been tuning in, then you know that for the last few weeks, myself and a dear friend and colleague have been talking about the energy of reinvention. Now, we specifically know that this year has been hard for everyone. I've been calling it the great equalizer. Whether you were strong before or not, employed, an entrepreneur, whatever, everybody has been affected by 2020 and all of the drama. And we're all kind of getting to this point where we realize something has got to change. We're sick of not being able to travel, not being able to hug people, not being able to get out of the house as much as we'd like. And it just keeps bringing up this idea about what do we do when we can't change the external circumstances? Well, in the famous words of Viktor Frankl, if you can't change the outside, you've got to change yourself. The only thing we can do is really change our reaction to what's going on in the world. And so for these last 3 sessions, I have been joined by Delia Sanchez. She is a career reinvention expert and a very gifted energy healer. And we've been talking about a holistic approach, like mind, body, and soul, to reinvent yourself. And specifically, we're looking at how can we use the last quarter of 2020 to go deep within and find out how we can reinvent ourselves, or how can we level up to that next version of ourselves, so that no matter what is going on in the outside world, whether it changes or not, we can not only survive, but thrive. So we talked about a session on mindset, where we went over imposter syndrome. Both Delia and I shared how we've dealt with that and struggled, so go back and watch that if you need to. We also talked about the body, like how do we tune into more energy for the body to overcome any resistance or inertia and start to gain momentum, to feel better, to actually feel that energy. And today we're going to be talking about how to tune into the truth of your heart and soul to reinvent yourself. Now, I know that may sound a little airy-fairy, but it's actually absolutely what we need now. Because normally, when something comes up in our lives, we always try to go external. We want to change something in the outside world. And that can work for a period of time, but if we don't really look at the common denominator, and that's us, we can blame the job, the president, the virus, the economy, the toxic environments. We can blame all those externals, but the one constant is us. And so that's why we're giving you this holistic approach to really tune into what does your soul say about all of this? Like, you have a destiny, no matter what is going on in the crazy, crazy world around us. So joining me, as I mentioned, is my beautiful friend, Delia Sanchez. Thank you so much for being back with us to talk about conscious reinvention.
Hello, it's so good to be back here. And I was just listening to you talking. Wow. When we talk about reinvention, it's all about this. We cannot just separate one thing from the other.
Well,
It's it's um it's one thing related to the other. So mind, body, and soul. And I love the word you use, equalizer,
yeah,
for the moment we are, because it's indeed how it's been for everyone. And it doesn't matter who you were, who you was before.
yeah,
It's all about what's next, and
yeah,
who you want to be, who you want to become, and what will be the story that you will tell about 2020.
yeah. Because we all will have a story to tell, right? That's
And
for
we
sure.
decide, right? So we
Yeah,
decide.
yeah,
So it's up to you to tune in and decide, be responsible, like Dr. Andrea said, not blaming
yeah.
anyone or anything. We are the only responsible ones. So, what will be the story that you want to tell next year or in a couple of years, how was your 2020?
Yeah. That's that that is how I really want to look at it, because there have been a lot of painful moments, and there have been a lot of opportunities to go within and really find gratitude for the things that didn't fall apart this year, gratitude for new opportunities that came in. And one of the biggest things that came in for so many people was they were actually grateful for time to go within. And I love how you always say that there's still those other people that are saying, "Oh my God, I can't wait for 2020 to be over," and they're just waiting to be dragged across the finish line. But I think we can take a more proactive approach. So as we're in fall, this is a really good time. Normally, it's a time of harvest. You know, you're getting the last fruits and veggies, and then we prepare for winter. And in wintertime, we typically go quiet, we go within, we go and hibernate. And so that's really what I see the work that you and I have the opportunity to do. But first, we have to help people recognize and have a different mindset for what's going on. And I love the way that you describe it. You showed me some slides recently of how we can get into a vicious cycle of
Exactly.
falling back into old programs and paradigms. Do you feel like sharing that with people? I think it would set the stage really well for us.
Oh, I would love to do that. I would love to do that. And yeah, I'm ready for that. Shall we?
Yeah, let
Yeah.
me.
Wait. Okay, let me just get here.
All right. So I think this will be helpful for everyone. Thank you, Donna, for being here. Thank you, Dr. Fernando. Nice to have you with us.
Amazing.
So
All
take it
right.
away.
So let's think about this, I guess, the virus. So this was something that it was, I put here the word new idea, but it was something that happened to all of us and suddenly. So what happened is it created a crisis, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure you all been there this year. You felt like it was a nightmare. So you had those dark moments where, oh my gosh, what I'm doing now, what I want to do now, what shall I do now? So it created a crisis on you. So that crisis, that moment created as well the necessity of challenging attitudes. So you had to do something, whatever it was, you had to do something. And I say challenging attitudes because when you are in a crisis, you need something to hold on to. So this attitude, this action will be difficult to take. So what happened is, from the challenging attitudes, what happened is that some of us will go into the fight, flight, or freeze mode. It will scare, you will feel fear, and this fear will freeze you, will froze you.
Yes, freeze
Yeah,
you. You might freeze.
freeze. Yeah, you might, sorry. Yeah, so you will get stuck. Let's say this.
Yeah.
I think this is the word, right? So think about that moment. You knew what you have to do. However, you couldn't.
Yeah.
So so you wanted to disappear. You wanted to fly away. You froze. You were blaming everyone, everybody around you. This was the point. And what happened is, these are your old paradigms or things that you believe that is still there holding you in this vicious cycle. I hope you're all with me so far. And then what happened is you go back to the crisis. And then you have some more challenges attitudes that you think you can take, however, you cannot move on, and you go back to stuck mode, old paradigms, and you stay here, right? So, what happens if you can move on after taking that decision? I will do it, I will make it. So, you need courage to for this next step. So is your heart is here is where your heart is telling you you can do this. So instead of going into the fight, flight, or freeze mode, you decide that no matter how hard it is, you are going to do it. And here is where you break your paradigm, those old paradigms. And here is where you really take the next step.
Yeah.
And after this, what happened is you get to a point where you dive deep inside you. You get that self knowledge, you understand, you have mental clarity, your heart and your mind is connected. So everything, your mind, what we were talking about before in the last lives,
Yeah.
mind and body, they support you. So you are not alone here, but you are supported by your body, by your mind. So you can create whatever you want. Here is where you feel that everything is possible. Right? So, and you, if you move on, what happens is progress,
Yes.
freedom, and flow. You will attract more of this into your life. You will see that you step outside your comfort zone and you did it. The best thing, you did it. So when a new idea come back, you decide where to go.
Yeah.
Or how to do it instead of going back to those things that make you stuck.
I love
Right?
this. I love this because this is really about true empowerment. It's not about waiting for a handout, waiting for someone to rescue you. It's about first tuning into your own courage. And as you step out of that comfort zone, as you commit to making a change, you're not really alone. It can feel very lonely, but the universe is going to provide. There, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, your connections, your good luck, your karma, it can help you take these next steps. And then, as you say, then that cycle can go around again, but you're consciously choosing these new ideas.
Exactly. And this is why we are here, right, Dr. Andrea? We want this cycle to be conscious.
Yes. Yes.
So you decide. So you see that it's no one out there. It's nobody else. We don't need to blame actually anyone or anything. The
Yeah.
virus.
Yeah.
We all we need is just. I heard this guy. He is a very an amazing healer from Brazil, and he was saying, courage means taking an action from the heart.
Yeah, and that's a perfect thing because if you look at the French word for heart, it's cœur, which is the root of courage. It is to move forward with heart. Absolutely.
And the freedom is another thing because the more freedom you have, the more you will look for knowledge and new ideas.
Yeah.
Then you will really feel like I am free to choose.
Right. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Donna said this was awakening. And our beautiful veterinarian, Joanna, said, I love this. Such a great resume review. Thank you, Delia and Andrea. Awesome. Well, you know what this kind of reinforces for me, and I know this is why we're here, this is why we've teamed up, is we really believe that the number one thing that is going to empower you to reinvent yourself or to level up in 2020 and beyond is to commit to creating a soul-inspired action plan, something that's coming from your heart and soul, and stay accountable to it. Because as you were pointing out, Delia, if we're always reacting and looking towards the outside world, like for example, when someone gets this idea that I really need to change something, I've been hearing from people who did not lose their jobs as a result of COVID, but they know they are uncomfortable in that current job. They knew they needed to leave a long time ago, but they stayed. And now with the virus, they feel even more needy, like they have to stay. But they know that it's coming to an end, that they can't keep it up because it leads to burnout. But as soon as I tell them, well, what does your heart say? They freak out. They get completely like overwhelmed, and they're like, well, I can't follow my heart. Like I need to be doing, this and this and this based on what they've either been taught or what society or their parents have sort of drummed into their head. And I know how that feels. I mean, you already know my story, but
Please tell that story. Please tell now. That's a good story. Please tell us.
But I definitely know how that feels because I also kind of was doing my thing when I left America and moved to the south of France. I stopped doing all the TV shows and I just sort of went into reinvention, but nothing exciting. Well, I mean, I just was being a mom, living my life on the Riviera, kind of getting things settled here in France. And after a few years, I was starting to do public speaking, going on other stages, talking about personal branding and how to really tune into your authentic voice. And to be honest, it's very easy for me to do because I spent 20 years in the media, so it was never really hard work. But I knew deep in my heart that I needed to be doing something bigger. But in my mind, I couldn't think like, well, what are people going to think? Because they've always known me as this TV person, and now I'm doing branding. But the thing that shifted for me was a few years ago, I got a message on Facebook from this beautiful Dr. Janet Anthony. And she reached out because she wanted to get in touch with my mother, who, as you know, I worked with in my wellness center in America. And I totally remember because they used to have these phone conversations every week. And she said, look, I have this new thing going on. I want to talk to your mom. And I'm not sharing anything that I don't have permission to share. It's also in my book. But I said, listen, Janet, I'm so sorry, but my mom has been developing memory issues. She's not available. And she was just gutted. And after a couple of days, she sent me another message. And she said, Andrea, you sound like your mom. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You were talking about self-love and you were talking about confidence. She was like, I need to have a session with you. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. I'm not a therapist. I don't do what she does. It was me comparing myself to her and comparing myself to all these other people who are out there coaching and stuff. And she was like, but you sound like Dr. P. That's what they call my mom. She was like, could we just have a session? So like I said, you know what, let's just get together on Skype. We can talk, And what was interesting about having this conversation with her is she was like, you have a way of putting stuff together that's so clear, even though it's spiritual, even though it's psychological, self-love work. And she was like, you really just need to put it in a book. And it is thanks to Dr. Janet Anthony that the Real Self-Love Handbook came out. But I had to get over that. I had to get over that feeling like an imposter, trusting my heart. And so I'm just saying all of this to say, I know what that feels like. And so if there's anyone else out there going through it, I can tell you on the other side of the procrastination and the self-sabotage is the freedom that Delia was talking about. You then have the freedom to choose. And now, I never wanted to call myself a therapist or a healer or whatever, but now I recognize I'm doing it in my own way. I'm doing it in a way that brings all of my talents together. I mean, like literally, there's no degree program for what I do.
You created your own market.
Yeah.
Right? And this is amazing that you're sharing because anyone out there that is listening to this or is watching, it might think, oh, but there's no market for me now. Or I don't know. I'm like, hey guys, I'm a pharmacist. Dr. Andrea is a doctor. She is a doctor. So I guess both of us, we just created our own market.
Yeah. And that's really what we have to do, to be honest, is when you decide that enough is enough. Like, you can go back to doing what you were always doing, but you're likely to end up with more depression, more burnout, more overwork, and ultimately be unsatisfied with your life. But if you're willing to kind of recognize that you've tried it the other way, you've tried doing all these other people's plans, following the exact degree path and the job, and it's not fulfilling. And so there comes a moment where you've got to just say yes to your heart and your soul. And that is ultimately what I did. And that's how I found that there were people that would happily hire me, even though I don't do things in the traditional therapy way. And so I know that there are some of you out there who are in similar positions. I mean, Delia was a professional pharmacist and biochemist, and now she's doing energy healing and leading people through a total life reinvention. You can do that when you step into your heart, because you were born to do something in this life that nobody else is doing in the exact way that you do. Even if you had two people with a similar job or the similar title, the way that you do it is so, so unique. Don't you feel?
And it's about your voice, right? No matter if I'm saying something and Dr. Andrea is saying something, there will be some people that will click to her voice, her message, no matter if we're talking about the same thing. So this is what happened. So, and you mentioned procrastination, Dr. Andrea. I
Yeah.
think it's just good to just talk a little bit about that, because actually lately I had so many clients, and I had this client, she came in and she said, look, I don't have any problems, but I do procrastinate a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to learn. I don't know. She was convinced that procrastination was okay. Still, she came because of that. So okay, there was something there. So the thing is, we keep procrastinating no matter what. It creates a lot of resistance in you, a lot of resistance.
Yeah.
And by resistance, we can go to stress, because you're all the time in that fight, flight, freeze
Yeah.
mode
Yeah.
when you procrastinate, no matter what, even if it's that phone call that you need to do to the bank.
Yeah.
Because what happened is that single thing stays here, just
Yeah.
like a little voice, and every time comes back
Yeah.
until you don't resolve that. So imagine if you're out there, if you're watching this, and you're thinking about reinventing yourself, how long have this been?
Yeah.
Right? I've been there. I guess I procrastinated for so many years, and actually I was doubtful, fearful, and hopeless.
Mm. Yeah.
Right. So, uh, and that only made me bad with even I share less time with a skin disease,
Yeah.
right? So when you reach that point where your body is already telling you something, then you must act. So those are the messages. Dr. Andrea was saying, listen to your heart. So those are the small messages that actually your body is telling you.
Exactly.
The universe is telling you. A friend from your mom calls and tells you
Yeah.
something. So hey,
Yeah. And I love what Donna says. She said, heart equals freedom. Absolutely. So that's part of why Delia and I are teaming up with together, so that we can help guide whoever is interested and willing. We're offering a free masterclass series where you can actually interact with us, ask questions. We have homework assignments so that you can start to put this into practice. Because it's one thing to hear an inspiring message. It's one thing to see that your story resonates with our stories. but it's a whole other thing to embody it. Like, how do you take the steps forward? Like, how do you get out of inertia, feeling stuck and blocked? Sometimes you need a mentor or a guide. There's something. It could be 2020. Something about this year has just hit you, and you're saying now is the time. But fortunately, you don't have to do it alone, unlike what Delia and I have done over the years. I can remember for me, though, the sort of breaking point when I was still in America. I was, again, working in television. I had also my wellness center, and I was doing both. I had just published my first book, just been on Oprah. Things were like going strong, but I was starting to feel like there was something more. And I was frustrated because what I really wanted to do was share all about energy and the nutrition things that we were recognizing could change people's health better than medicine. But the TV land wasn't ready for that at that time. And I remember that I was visiting, my father had come to visit me, and I was telling him about what I'd been up to. He got to see my big wellness center and all this stuff. But he kind of said, I don't know about this entrepreneur thing. Can't you just get a job at a hospital?
Like a normal person.
And I was like, love my dad. Like, he supported me through college. He supported me through med school, but he just couldn't get it. And that's when I realized the paradigm for his generation, which is all about you go the safe route, you get a job, you get a pension, you're good for life. And me, I've always had this entrepreneurial spirit. It was in that moment that I realized I'm never going to have his full approval. And I already knew that I wasn't meeting what the media wanted. They wanted me in a little box, and I was desperately trying to get out of that box. And it was in that moment that I realized I can't worry about what other people say. I've got to follow my heart. I don't know what it looks like. At that time, I didn't have a whole lot of role models. I ended up, I think it was that same year, I ended up meeting Deepak Chopra and flying to California, doing some mentoring with him. And that started to help me shift my thinking. And that's really what I feel like all of us need, is we need sometimes a mentor or a guide to help us shift our thinking so that we can live by the heart. So I've put the link for the Masterclass series that Delia and I are doing. We're co-hosted by Vivaya Live, which is an online platform for body work, for yoga. They stream all these amazing classes daily, including the beautiful Karina Virginia, who wrote the foreword to my book, The Real Self-Love Handbook. So Delia and I will be able to take you through this mind, body, spirit approach to conscious reinvention. And kind of like the way that we look at it is you really have two choices. You can keep doing what you've always done and end up with more depression and burnout and breakdown, or you can decide to change internally and take back control. Like what Delia was saying is, if we are waiting for everyone else, we have no control. We have no power. But when you decide that I'm going to make my life my way, no matter what the environment is, that is when we can step into that hero mindset, which is so crucial for developing resilience and overall well-being. And that's how you can overcome the pessimism. That's how you can tune into hope. And so Dr. Raj is asking, when is the class? The classes are on Thursdays in October. So next Thursday, October 8th, 15th, 22, 29, at this same time. It's hosted on Vivaya Live, and I will even put up the link.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's also in the description, Dr. Raj, over on YouTube, and I'll pop it in on Facebook as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we will be talking about just like the graphic that I shared with you all just earlier now is all about that. And there's so much to that. Obviously, there's no space to add so much, but we have there, and obviously we saved a few for the masterclass. So, and it's the courage.
Yeah.
It's that heart, it's your heart, your courage that will take you.
And that's what's led you all around the world. I mean, you went from Paraguay to Singapore to the UK, like having that courage. And didn't your family also think like, wait a minute, what are you doing?
Yeah, so I guess my family was a bit worried about me when I was in Paraguay because I was all the time very frustrated,
Mm,
very nervous, very anxious about everything, blaming everyone and everything. So they were very, very worried about me when I
mm,
was there. And I had this call. I said, okay, I'm moving to Singapore,
yeah.
just like this. So I guess this is when you listen to your heart, literally,
Mm,
and you take that step and you don't know. You simply don't know where you will end up,
mm-hmm.
but you trust.
Yeah.
And that was I guess one of the best things I've ever done in my life. So after that, everything changed. Everything changed. It's been 8 years now
Yeah. Wow.
since that big move, and everything changed. I'm a totally new person today. I I won't say to you that it was easy. It wasn't at all. Actually, in the opposite. However, that courage took me to the next,
Yeah.
to the next, to the next. And so as you keep moving, just keep moving, keep walking, keep
Yeah.
moving, you will see there is a space and you will find we're talking about in one of our lives that we don't need to go up a river, we just need to follow the current,
Yes.
right? So we don't need to control everything we cannot take control. So we just let it go and trust.
Yeah.
So things happen. Things will happen when you trust.
And one of the things that Delia is going to be teaching in the live masterclass is, she's an expert in all of the universal laws. So when you can really see that the universe, physics, quantum physics has really got your back, including doing some experiments. Like part of our homework assignment will be, of course, the self work and the vision work, and getting your diet and your body tuned up, but also giving you little things that you can do to step out where there aren't high stakes. We're not telling you to quit your job, leave your marriage, fly to a new country. We're saying, what little steps can you take where you can develop that courage, because you get feedback. As soon as you take a step, you get feedback and then you can adjust. And I love that you're going to be showing how the laws of the universal laws can apply as we take these steps. We're not alone. We can learn to trust again. We can trust our intuition.
Mhm. Yes, I will. The law of attraction, the law of vibration, law of momentum. There are so many of them, and if we learn if we learn about them, it will be you will have just a different approach to everything in your life.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just like a basic, it's a rule for me now. Is the rule, is how I live my life. And this morning I was talking with a friend. She knows me for quite a few years. I met her in Singapore actually, and she said, Delia, one thing that I admire on you is how calm and you're always on top of everything. And I said, I'm very grateful for this. Thank you for saying this. However, I was not always like this.
mm-hmm.
I made this to happen. I made it happen.
Yeah,
And it's literally,
yeah,
I created this.
yeah. And that's the power we have. We have the power to reinvent ourselves. And we're not talking about becoming something fake, because what Delia has done is she has created a whole new life. She has really just stepped into her authentic self, her authentic calling, and bringing aspects of your pharmacy background and languages and teaching and energy. It fits you perfectly,
Yeah.
and that's what we're offering to you all. And yes, Rajni, you if even if you miss a class, if you miss the live, it's fine. You'll have access to a replay. If you register, you'll get all of the worksheets and the homework assignments, and we can support you. And then for those of you who would like even more support, starting in November, Delia and I will be leading a 12-week Conscious Reinvention program where you can work with us privately to really go even deeper, taking you into the new year with a whole new outlook and have full support. But you can join us just by clicking the link or going to this bit.ly link and join us. It's going to be fun. I feel like this is our gift. The next gift, we've been giving all sorts of gifts. I know you have as well, Delia, with all the wonderful content you create. But this is our gift to this community so that as you go into winter, you've got some material to start to create your own soul-aligned action plan that allows you to really live as your authentic self. So that rather than just surviving this year, you can end it thriving. And I truly believe that we can do that.
Oh, yes. And we are very good at keeping you accountable. So in case you need that as well.
Yeah.
Yes. So so we are very excited about this. And if you feel connected to this, take that action.
Yeah.
Step into that courage of you, because we all have this.
Yeah.
Don't procrastinate.
Yes, join us, because this is actually quite a gift. Because
Yes.
Delia works with private clients in the UK, but a lot of her work has been for the Spanish and Portuguese speaking audiences. So she's working with me in English to serve this community. So I would not procrastinate. Don't wait. Take advantage of this opportunity to work with us together, starting with this free masterclass series.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
So if you all have any questions, we are happy to answer any questions you have or any curiosities.
Well, we've got a thank you, and we've got I'm in, and Joanna says no more procrastination. I love it. Awesome.
Nice.
Yes. And thank you,
That's
Donna.
great.
So this is good. We'll have some of our returning friends from this community. I know we'll be encountering a whole new group of people through the Vivaya platform. They've been up and running and doing really beautiful work. So I'm really grateful to be able to be on a platform that has such high integrity, high vibes. So when you join, you'll also have an opportunity to get a free trial of the Vivaya platform. So if there are other classes of theirs that you'd like to experience, you can do that as well for free for a period of time. So I think this is our good karma contribution to this crazy year of 2020. We want people to feel like, the universe has got your back. God has got your back. You're not alone. You're not alone.
Definitely not alone. And whatever you are, just trust that this is where you should be.
Yeah.
Just trust and don't blame. I will repeat this again. Don't blame anyone. Just be responsible for you, for your actions. And think about, I will ask you again, think about what would be your story? What is the story that you want to tell about 2020?
Yeah, because that's what it is. It's going to be a story. We're all going to be telling a story about how this year.
I want to tell a nice story, I would.
But the story I'm going to be telling is going to be epic. So I'm so glad to see that Rossi, you're in. Latashia says thank you. Donna has joined.
Nice.
Woohoo!
Yay, nice, great.
So awesome.
Yeah, join now. Look, I love this. Action. There's a universal law, this law of action. It's like you're connecting or telling the universe, I am ready.
Yes.
This is it.
That's it.
Take the action. It's free, guys. So it's free. 1 more month of classes every week, 4 classes in total with homework and activities. So take action and say yes to whatever it is.
Yes.
Yes.
Action. I love it. Latasha has joined. She says,
Yay!
I'm in. You'll have to tell me how to pronounce your name so I get it right. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Delia. Thank you for teaming up with me on this. I think this is a beautiful way for us to end the year for this community, for ourselves. I mean, it's also, being accountable with you every week is helping me. And it's allowing me to step up instead of getting comfortable or getting lazy or just feeling like, oh God, I'll start in January. No, I want to like end this year as the best version of me possible, knowing that there's still room for improvement. That's okay. I'm all right with that. But I truly thank you, Delia. It's an honor to work with you, and I'm so excited for what we will be able to create and see these other people like taking this spark and transforming their lives as well.
Oh, and I say to muchas gracias for allowing me to share with your community this small message that I've collected through my years of reinvention, my many reinventions. And I've been so inspired by you
Thank you.
on doing things and taking the next steps. And you were talking about earlier uh, how important it is to find a guide or a mentor. So it is. So I found mine, and it is so important, no matter what you call it. It could be a friend, a mentor, a guide, and it's there for you.
Yeah.
So that is also important, and is to collaborate with you
Yeah.
because it's shoulder to shoulder. Is to collaborate with you.
Yeah.
So I'm very thankful for this. I really appreciate this time with you, and we have so much more.
Yes, we do. So thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you being here. Be sure to click the link and join us for this Conscious Reinvention Masterclass series starting October 8th. That's next Thursday. You can join with the link. I'll put it in the description as well, and you'll be having access to me and Delia. You'll also be able to ask questions and interact with us much more. So we look forward to serving you then. And all I can
Yes.
say, my friends, is remember that you, no matter what your past looks like, no matter what your present looks like, you are a gift to the world. So share your presence with passion. Besitos, muchísimas
So,
gracias.
gracias.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.